D. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie. MyBookie.ag, and it's wonderful to have you along for the ride, despite the fact that it was a terrible weekend in Philadelphia sports, especially with what went down between the Eagles and the Broncos yesterday, especially what happened in the second half between the Eagles and the Broncos yesterday. This was an extremely frustrating loss because we've seen this play before. We've seen this movie many times this season, 4 times, as a matter of fact, before yesterday. Now we've seen it 5 times, where the Eagles play a couple of quarters. They play 2 quarters, and then they suck the other 2 quarters. Terrible, the other 2 quarters. The one that really stung about this one was they actually came out of the gate strong in the second half with a 4-play drive that was capped off by a 47-yard touchdown reception by Saquon Barkley running out of the backfield. A little wheel route there, baby. Nice little play there, Kevin Patullo. Way to dial that one up. Also, perfect throw from Jalen Hurts on that. And you're going 17-3, first possession of the second half. On this drive alone, Jalen Hurts has more yards and more completions, obviously, than he did in the entire second half against the Buccaneers. Here we go. Let the domination begin. And then for the next 4 possessions, Eagles punted, and the Eagles accumulated a grand total of 3 yards. 3 yards on those 4 possessions following the touchdown drive that opened up the second half. Originally, when I did the math, I was a little off. I said -1. It was 3. It's 4 yards off. I don't know what I missed, but I said on the post-game show yesterday, I'm not good at math. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I double-checked this time. And 3 yards on 4 possessions. That's pretty terrible. That does include a 26-yard loss on one of the drives. It does include a 16-yard loss on one of the other drives. 6-yard loss, on one of the other drives. This is just flat out terrible. So I've narrowed it down to a couple of things here. And I'm going to go the way I list things. And I'm just going to say this as an honorable mention because I don't ever like blaming the referees. There are another thing. I don't even like acknowledging it, but when there are 2 blatant pass interference calls, and only one gets called on your attempt at a game-winning drive, that's ridiculous. So that just means, they're definitely not going to call it twice, so I'm going to go ahead and hold Dallas Goedert on this second play. On a play that he could have come back to the ball on, easily gotten out of bounds, and that would have been that. So, and maybe you get 2 shots in the end zone with about 8 seconds left on the clock. Maybe it's a little bit of a different story. But instead, they don't get the second pass interference. And Jalen Hurts still puts the ball in the hands of Devontae Smith, who gets tackled not by a Bronco, but by A.J. Brown. We'll get to that in a second. But I can't help but look at the officials in this and go, okay, yeah, definitely not good. All right, let's acknowledge that. What stings even more, because I think everybody realizes that you're not going to get that call. You're not going to get 2 pass interference calls on the same drive when you just got one on a 4th and 7, for instance. But what really bothered me while we're talking about the officials, and it is funny, this is the first time I think I've ever split penalties and officials. Usually it's all together. But the Eagles shot themselves in the foot enough times with penalties of their own. But the referees picking up the flag on the intentional grounding play that was clearly intentional grounding. And then the referees ruling a fumble originally in the first quarter, and Cooper DeJean forcing that fumble, smacking the ball out of the hand of Bo Nix, and then coming back after review after the hand clearly went forward empty. That's a complete pass. They continue their drive, then they get 3 points out of it. How valuable are those 3 points in the fourth quarter? Pretty valuable. But again, this is just an honorable mention. The referees are not on my list, and I'm not even that agitated. Okay, I lied on the last one. I lied. I'm agitated. But let's get the penalties. Let's get away from the officials. Let's talk about the things that the Eagles could have done right that they did wrong in this one. Saquon Barkley not getting set behind the line of scrimmage. Jalen snapping the ball at that time. Now, look, a couple of things have to go right here. And talking to Seth Joyner yesterday after the show, during the postgame show, and in the moment, as a matter of fact, when this play went down, he said it's on Jalen. And I don't disagree with that. But I know that there's a line of communication here when the ball gets snapped and Jalen lifted his leg. That's usually the sign that it's okay to snap the football. Now, there's another part of this where Tyler Steen will smack the leg of Cam Jurgens and let him know it's okay to snap it. I don't know what all transpired there. I got to watch the all 22 on it. I'll be able to watch that later today. But that's just a play that you're clearly running Saquon Barkley out to the right to understand what coverage you're going up against. They have man coverage. Saquon cycles back, and they ended up calling the illegal shift on the Eagles on that one. A killer, an absolute killer. Stuff like that, just boneheaded plays that will take you off your mark. Going through the game yesterday and just thinking about the amount of penalties that the Eagles took. And look, if you look at the way the penalties worked out yesterday, it was 12 to the Broncos, 9 Eagles penalties. 12 for the Broncos went for 121 yards. 9 penalties for the Eagles went for 55 yards. And that, like, 3 penalties, you could consider that kind of even on the way it was called. But that's not the point. The point was that you made 9 mental errors on this one. Devontae Smith hopping into his set at the line of scrimmage. That ain't going to help anybody. There's just things that they obviously need to clean up. And it was funny because and somebody else on my list here is Kevin Patullo, but when you talk about penalties and you talk about this many mental errors, then you're talking about what they don't correct in practice. You're talking about what they're not coaching them up to do. And to Nick Sirianni's credit, he acknowledged it after the game, saying that when you have a team play like the way they played, they're not paying enough attention to detail. And they always talk about detail, tough detail together. That's what they're always talking about. Well, the detail part was left out of it. Certainly left out of it. And the together part of it, that's being threatened again. Good times. So, yeah, honorable mention, I'll say referees. Certainly now shifted to the things that I believe matter more than anything, and that's the way the Eagles played. I talk about the penalties and how bad the penalties were. Then that's a perfect piggyback into the Kevin Patullo situation, because let me understand. Let me help you. I don't look at Kevin Patullo and say, clearly he's the problem. That's why he's like number 4 on my list of 5 here, okay? He's down there, all right? But he's a problem. I don't know what's going on with calling plays, but it does not seem like they are giving Jalen Hurts enough time to look at what's in front of him. And for the people that are like, well, he can't read a defense anyway. Yeah, he can absolutely read a defense. I will say this, he is best at reading a defense in the pre-snap read, so give him time to look around and see what's going on. Give him that time, please. I do believe that Jalen Hurts does need that time. Now, for the Jalen Hurts truthers or deniers or whatever, they might look at it and say, he absolutely needs that because he doesn't know what he's looking at. He doesn't take as much time as he needs to study. Give him that time. Give him that time. And they're not giving him that time. And there's really no better example, by the way, no better example of Jalen Hurts adding a little fuel to the fire that he does need that time and acknowledging that plays are coming in late than when he was asked the question after the game. Listen to this nice big old fat pause Jalen Hurts takes after the game. I'm going to let you hear the end of his answer, the question, the pause, and the rest of his answer. Here he is yesterday after the game.
And when you don't, you learn from it. Yeah, I think that's relative, right? Yeah, I get to play, I go make the play happen. So, I can't point the finger at anything else or the calls getting in on time or anything like that. You know, it's just about making it work.
While we're listening to the press conference yesterday during the postgame show, here's Seth say under his breath, "You just did." I can't point to anything else. You just did. I mean, come on.
And when you don't, you learn from it. Yeah, I think that's relative, right?
That pause. Oh, they're not getting it on time. Kevin Patullo, let's speed it up, man. Let's move it along. Let's get it going here, please, and thank you. Quickly as possible, especially if you're going up tempo. It's hard to go up tempo when you're slow tempo on the sidelines. It's very difficult. The other thing that bothered me yesterday, so that's an acknowledgement as far as I'm concerned that, yeah, the plays are not getting in on time. So the other part of this is just any ounce of adjustment. Last week, I hear during the press conference from Kevin Matullo, oh, the problem with Todd Bowles is that we put ourselves in position that Todd Bowles thrives in that second half. Okay. I can understand why this might be difficult. You're going up against an experienced defensive coordinator, one that has had your quarterback's number over the years. I understand why this might be a little difficult to stay out of positions that he thrives in, because guess what? He's trying to put you in that position. That might lead you to believe that he's thriving even before you think he's thriving. So I go into this game against Vance Joseph, okay? Defensive coordinator there on a great defensive team. We talked about it going into this one. I thought this was going to be a 24-20 Eagles win, a lower scoring game than what the rest of the league dictates, kind of. And it was around that. It was 21-17, unfortunately, in favor of the Broncos. And the Eagles weren't able to do their job when facing a good defense like this. So what were they doing to stay out of third and long situations? What were they doing to convert? What were they doing to pick up blitzes on a day where your quarterback took 6 sacks? I believe the total was 6 sacks. 2 of them were weak, very weak sacks because he was running out of bounds essentially, and for whatever reason he ran out of bounds at the line of scrimmage or just behind the line of scrimmage. So that made no sense to me. All right. But still, 4 other sacks in this game. Yes, you're going up against a stout defensive line. You're going up against some stout edge rushers. But you're supposed to have a Jeff Stoutland coached offensive line that is good no matter what. And that wasn't the case. So where's the help for your quarterback? And I will say this as well. Jalen Hurts, there are plays where he's got an out. And one in particular, Saquon floated out next to him. So Jalen Hurts saw him. And instead, he ate a sack. You can't do that, man. You can't. In that situation, a flip to Saquon or even an over the shoulder throw, easy. And I know the number one thing he fights against, Jalen Hurts, the number one thing he fights against is turning the football over. And I admire his strategy. I've applauded him for his strategy on that. But there are certain plays that are layup plays that you can get rid of the football and not worry about turning the football over. So things like that. So I look at the penalties the Eagles had. I look at coaching, getting the plays in, lack of adjustments. And then this is one that just it's the worst one of the worst, in my opinion. A.J. Brown can't be the dude that is telling everybody there's dirty laundry, but not airing it out because he doesn't give details, and draw all that attention and then slow down on a kill shot touchdown. That was unbelievable. The way I watched this play unfold, I always tell you guys, I don't like to judge everything the quarterback does until I watch the All-22 to really understand. And there were definitely times where Jalen was holding the football too long. But before I can get to the All-22, I got to watch the instant replay. And thank you for CBS for one thing they did great on that in the broadcast yesterday was have this instant replay ready to go. Because I'm going, oh, Jalen had him and he missed him. Come on. And then I watched the instant replay. And just like you, I'm sure, I sat there, stared at my TV, and I went, you got to be kidding me. About 3:40 to go in that third quarter. Eagles are on a first and 15. And Jalen Hurts reels back to fire a ball downfield to A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown slows down. A.J. had the false start that knocked him back from a 1st and 10 to a 1st and 15. And then the next play, they take a shot deep down the middle of the field. 3:43 remaining in the third quarter, and A.J. Brown pulls up. There's zero excuse for that. Zero excuse for that. You're talking about going up 24-3 going into the fourth quarter. I feel pretty good about the Eagles' odds at 24-3. In all honesty, 17-3 didn't feel good. I knew that they got Mims, Cortland Sutton. I know they got Franklin. They have a stout running game. And I'll give credit. I talked about offensive adjustments. Did you notice what Sean Payton had written on his play sheet yesterday? Right up here. Top of the play sheet. You can see it. Run the ball! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And you know what? They really weren't running the ball in the first half. And I said, they're going to make an adjustment. They're going to run the ball in the second half. You watch. And bam, they ran the ball in the second. So I knew with the talent they had on the offense, and also with the Eagles' inability to get home, that there was going to be a last-ditch effort to try to win this football game. And that's exactly what happened in the fourth quarter. While the Eagles, as I mentioned earlier, got 3 yards in total on 4 possessions, 4 straight punts in the second half after their opening touchdown drive, the Denver Broncos started putting on a hurt after that third quarter missed play by Jalen Hurts by A.J. Brown slowing up. Because A.J. has the false start. A.J. slows up on the 1st and 15. Jalen Hurts throws that incomplete short one to Will Shipley. Then 3rd and 15, Jalen gets sacked by Bonito. I think this is his second sack of the game, maybe. Hurts gets sacked for an 11-yard loss. They go from the 39-yard line to the 28-yard line. No bueno. They face 4th and 26. Go figure. And Braden Mann punts at 52 yards, and the Broncos pick up the football at the 36-yard line on the next possession. To which they, wouldn't you know it, march down the field and score a touchdown. Ain't that fun? That's a good time. Then, on the next possession for the Eagles, they get a Brett Toth holding penalty, knocks it back to a 1st and 20 after Saquon had a nice run, unfortunately called back. See you later. Then they face a 2nd and 13, a 3 and 13, 3rd and 13, and then a 4th and 16. That's that. Jalen Hurts takes another sack on that one. Going the wrong direction. Possession goes back to the Broncos. They get another touchdown drive. They put that one together. 6 plays, 72 yards, 332. That one ends with a 2-point conversion. And I can't help but think that Sean Payton went 2-point conversion. Where's Keely Ringo? There he is. Got it. Eagles actually put together a little bit of a drive. They get a first down, or excuse me, the 2nd and 1. Jalen Hurts, this is the play that I think he said he threw the bubble instead of handed off to Saquon. And that's when Tyler Steen ended up getting this is another penalty by the Eagles that was a killer, and it's the right call, unfortunately. But that's the Tyler Steen ineligible receiver downfield or ineligible player downfield. So he gets called for that. So now you go from 2nd and 1 to 2nd and 6. Jalen's only able to, Saquon takes the run there. He gets stopped. Then 3rd and 6, they only get 2 yards to Devontae Smith. 4th and 4, deep ball to Devontae Smith, and that gets called back for the illegal shift for Saquon that I mentioned earlier. Killers. These are all killers. But it all could have been a lot different when you're talking about a 24-3 game going into that fourth quarter. It all could have been a lot different. But instead, AJ pulled up. You can't be the guy that is, president of the drama department and then be the guy to not make the play. So A.J. Brown, as we know, likes to hold other people accountable. Let's see, did he hold himself accountable after the game?
From my point of view, we just missed,
It looked like you slowed up on the play. Did you not think the ball was coming your way, or what happened with that?
It's not that I didn't think the ball was coming. When I looked up, I didn't see the ball, and I looked back, I didn't see the ball, and then the ball was thrown. So, like I said, we just missed.
Did you guys talk after the play about maybe if a miscommunication, what happened?
No.
In a game like this, it is that close. Is that one of those plays that you'll kind of think about in this one?
Yeah, because it's a big play, but there's so much more that you can look at and determine what we didn't do well at,
What we didn't do well at. Okay, so this is somebody else's fault? You could look at it and look back and look what we didn't do. Huh. It was just a miss. You go back and you watch that play. What A.J. Brown is saying, it sounds like he turned around and looked at the ball. Because I will say this, if you watch the play unfold, there's 2 pumps by Jalen Hurts, if you want to call it that. There's a quick lift. There's almost a reel back, and then he throws. So there's like 2 false throws, fake throws. I don't know. It looks like he pumps, like he really wanted to throw it, but didn't. And then he airs it out to AJ down the field. On the 2 previous pumps, AJ's not turning around looking. The whole time, his eyes are downfield. Not one time does he look back over his right shoulder to see what Jalen Hurts is doing. So he doesn't know about those throws. And I thought maybe that threw off the timing. Maybe Jalen was supposed to throw it earlier, but AJ wasn't open, or Jalen didn't think he had the window. And then the only time, I assume AJ Brown is running this route as a decoy. I assume it. So he might even be thinking, I'm not even in this play. But if you are AJ Brown and you're Mr. Playmaker, and you look and you go, oh, I have taken the top off the defense. Look at that. Here's me. Behind me is the defense. In front of me is the end zone. I take a gander around, and nobody's in front of me. I'm going to keep running as hard as I can. But instead, he takes a step off, and that's all you need. That's all you need. Take that step off, ball sails over his head, and that's that. But it's just a miss. It's just how about a little accountability on your own right? How about a little accountability on your own right? Now, how did Jalen Hurts talk about this play after the game? The first thing he said, to his credit, was, I got to watch the film on it. He didn't say like, well, yeah, AJ needs to keep running. Like, he didn't say that. He just said, I got to watch the film on it. But then I think it was the second to last question of the press conference. Jimmy Kempski, Philly Voice, asked the question for a little bit more detail on what happened.
Situation in that play, that was a shot. So you either hit it or you don't. And we didn't hit that one. So we watch the tape and we get the opportunity to, and we learn from that. But in that moment in the game, it's about finding a way to put the dagger in them. And that definitely could have been the dagger in the game. But learn from it.
They learn from it. I hope they do. You can't go through a week like AJ Brown just put out there into the world. And for the record, there's one person to blame for the AJ Brown drama, and that's AJ Brown. So let's just acknowledge that. Even the biggest AJ Brown fans in the world, let's just acknowledge that. And then stop playing. You have an opportunity to get in the end zone. And then after the game, tell me something that you did wrong. Can't even do that. You got to look at a lot of other things that we could have done on a play. Oh, really? How about the one that we're talking about? Which is you stop running. You could have had a touchdown. Oh, man, that would have been a week of happiness. Not even, because then you got the Giants on Thursday, which, by the way, I'm extremely happy about that. You get right back out there on Thursday night. I think the Eagles win that game 41-10. I think they just annihilate them. I think that's the way that one goes. Jalen also talking after the game about the optimism in the locker room, but it's not about capability. It's not about capability. This is the way he put it.
Yeah, it's not a capability thing. We don't have a capability issue. We know what we're capable of. We're just not doing those things yet. But we will.
There we go. There's the optimism. Let's talk about the last play of the game right quick, because that was wild. So you have the pass interference on Dallas Goedert on the 4th down, keeps it going. Jahad Dotson comes up with a nice play. That was nice to see. And then Dallas Goedert does not draw the second pass interference call, which is unfortunately the way the cookie crumbled in this one. And then this is so wild to me. The Eagles again have the ball right there. They are a Devontae Smith maybe not getting tackled by AJ Brown, or Devontae Smith being able to go up one more inch in his vertical. Like, they are that close to still winning this football game, which is insane to me. And I don't say that because, like, well, they almost won. No, I don't say it as a consolation prize, as a silver lining. But I do have to just acknowledge for a second that this, because I talked about this at 4-0. Are you encouraged by the way the Eagles have played at 4-0? And Although for 2 quarters, I'm really not encouraged, but other 2 quarters I am. What's encouraging about it is the fact that, no, it's not about finding a way to win and that old cliche. What's encouraging is this team can play like, what's the Big Sean song? F. They can play like that for 2 quarters and still win football games. They could play like that with the exception of their first drive of the second half and still have the ball in the hands of your receiver before it got bounced out, mainly because you're being tackled by A.J. Brown. And that's the other thing. I don't think A.J. Brown was even asked after the game about, hey, by the way, what happened on that Hail Mary, man? Because it looked like you tackled Devontae. It looked like if nobody's catching it, if I'm not catching this football, nobody's catching this football. Rah! That's what it looked like. So that was interesting. But still, they could play like straight up cheeks and then still win football games. So just, I think I speak for the entire Delaware Valley. Do us all a favor, please, on the Thursday night, the primetime game. Go out there and just kick ass. Please and thank you. Let's get into the chat check. I want to get you guys in here and see how you guys are feeling about this one. Sean Kilrain, hello. Sean Kilrain, hello. Genuine question. After Bond commits while the player is still moving, what is he supposed to do? The guy, he's down. I know that's just the way they call it. I hate it, but that's the way they call it. The Bond late hit on the Cooper DeJean stop. Yeah. Tight end Dallas Goedert got pulled down by the Broncos defender near the goal line. The refs did not throw a flag somehow. This would have set the Eagles up for the score-winning touchdown. Yep. Good game from a Broncos fan. Good game. Thanks. Cousin. What's going on, cousin? April. Wondering the same thing about Bond play. He was mid-air already. That's the way I hate it, but that's the way they call it. It's like they always allow that downbeat on the play clock to snap the ball. Don't know why, but that's the way they call it. Eagles snapped the ball with 5 or fewer seconds on the play clock in quarters 1 through 3 only, excluding no huddle plays against Denver, higher than any team in the NFL. Gross. Cousin Thomas, what's going on? A lot of bad breaks in the game, but man, is there a bigger indictment on Patullo than Vic? Look at what a good coordinator can do with the lowest pay. That's true. That's a good point. You have Patullo on one side and Vic Fangio on the other. Can we balance this out a little bit, please? April, also don't ignore that AJ was knocked the ball out of Smitty's hands. I know. It's unbelievable. Little responsibility, please. April, I hope they watch the film together and Jalen turns and stares at him. Slow down that play. How dare you? How dare you? Is that the Big Sean reference? You're welcome. I think about it a lot. I was thinking about it while I was watching Justin Edwards be terrible at basketball in Abu Dhabi. It just, I can't help myself. Definitely needs the killer stare, Sean says, about April's reference. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Phillies game 2 tonight against the Dodgers. I don't have a good feeling about this one. I wish I did, but I don't. Fox Story 9 hit 7:45 today. I will catch you guys later today on Locked On 76ers and tomorrow tonight for the postcast on Locked On Phillies. See you guys.